um, doing an interview question called balanced brackets. Doing it on HackerRank. Essentially, what this is you're giving them a string such as this, an input of brackets, and you gotta see if they're mathematically they balance out, and that there's no errors in it. So this one will return true because the outer brackets they always match in within the rules of like a mathematical expression. This one would break because these two match, and then but these don't match because this inside that's an invalid bracket stacking. So given a string of brackets, determine if it's valid or not. Essentially, so like conceptual level, the way to do this is you just want to iterate through your brackets. You get your string and then you just split it to an array, so you get an array of in order of what your brackets were. Then you want to use a hash table and a stack, and you just iterate through your array and while using the stack and the bracket hash. So how this would work is you would first start on you would check the first one, and if it's an open bracket, then you want to push it onto the stack. So we'll push this open bracket into the stack. Then we move on to the next one. So we push this onto the stack. Then we'll do this parentheses. So essentially, doing your for loop, you just have if statement if it's a beginning bracket. So, and the beginning brackets are the keys in the hash table. Now, but if it's a closing bracket, once we get this one, what I want to do is do an if statement. Check if this one matches with the one on top of the stack. So you pop off of this. So you call like bracket hash. Let's call this BH. And you would pop this value here. So does this equal the value that you're currently looking at, which would be this, the closing bracket. And so if you take the bracket hash of this is a closing bracket, and they do work. So then you can keep continuing with the loop. So that returns true. So then you move to this. And this is popped off now. It's the same thing. So you call bracket hash of this opening bracket. Does it equal the closing bracket? And it does right here, and so on and so forth. You move on to this one that's popped off, and you do the same thing for that until you get to the end and it gets true. But well, let's just say we get to, so we just got done checking this one, but now we're moving on to this one. Just say this was this was a curly one instead. So this popped off. So we do bracket hash of, I suppose I should have to delete that for bracket hash of this. So you pop that off, put a check in bracket hash. Is it the same as curly brace? And then you look up your hash. Square bracket is equal to this ending closing square bracket, but it's not. So that would return false, and then you just return false, and that's not a balanced bracket. So yeah, it's kind of a tricky, sneaky way to use a stack. To always check the ordering of bracket pairs, and easy as that. And then so that's the high level. And then in code, what you do is you take your string, convert it to an array, split, create a stack, instantiate a stack, instantiate your bracket hash. And here's an edge case. If the string is empty, just return no. If not, let's do our for loop through the stack array. And just let the current bracket equal the get the current bracket that you're looping over. Then yeah, now you just do if there's a bracket hash, So this is just checking for if it's an opening. If it's an opening bracket, just pop it onto the stack. That's all it is. Else, if it's a closing bracket, you pop it off. You get your closing bracket. Now you just want to do that conditional checking. So if the current bracket you're looking at is equal to the closing bracket, then if it doesn't equal, then we return no. If not, you just keep moving on. And then finally, if you go through the whole loop, then it's good. And there's still something, there could be one left on the stack. If the stack is, it should be empty if it's valid, but like in this case, it's just like if you had your string contain like another like bracket at the end, that would just leave it the stack to have a length of 1. Then you want to return no, which is not, it's not valid because there's a straggler at the end. If not, then if your stack is empty and it passed through the whole loop, then yep, it returns and you're good. And then so if you check the code here, passes the test cases. And then running time of this is essentially all these subroutines is there's no loops on it. It's just constant time. So this part right here is your for loop is just running linear time, so it's a linear run time.